The moment you take the screen away from them, the screaming starts, doesn't it? Kicking on the floor, tears, you might even have heard them say, "I hate you." Then you stand there with the tablet in your hand, hearing them cry, and you don't know what to do. Sometimes you even wonder if the neighbors can hear them. Maybe you're quietly watching this video right after an evening just like that, once your child has fallen asleep. Now I want to tell you something. You might be very surprised to hear this. Nordic parents almost never experience this scenario, but the reason isn't what you might think. They don't limit screen time any less, set stricter rules, or use a harsher tone. In fact, they're sometimes even more flexible than you are. They simply never take the screen away suddenly, and that one difference changes the entire course of the evening. In this video, you'll learn the real reason behind toddler tantrums and screen time, the one no parenting tips list ever tells you, and the step-by-step tantrum fix method Nordic families use in crisis moments. If you watched my previous video, I promised you this. In this video, I'll give you concrete examples from start to finish, enough for you to try tonight, all in just 10 minutes. Stop for a second and think. Before watching this video, how many times did a scene like this happen in your home this week? Write it in the comments. You'll definitely see that you're not alone. But first, we need to understand why this outburst is actually so intense. Because it's really not the child's fault, and believe me, it's not your fault either. This isn't a battle of wills, it's a matter of timing, and the moment you realize this, you'll stop blaming yourself. Most parenting advice sources tell you the same thing. Set limits, turn off the screen, be consistent. This advice isn't wrong, of course, but it's incomplete, because no one tells you how to turn it off. It's presented as if the problem were the limit itself, when in fact, the real problem is exactly how that limit is set. Think about it. If you were in the middle of the most suspenseful scene of a TV show, and someone came and turned off the TV right then, you'd get upset too, wouldn't you? Maybe you wouldn't yell or cry, but you'd feel annoyed deep down and end up in a bad mood. Now let's apply this to the mind of a toddler whose ability to regulate emotions is still developing. Especially one who doesn't have the ability to say, "I'll continue in a bit," like you do. This is where most parents do one of two things I'm about to describe. Either they yell, snatch the tablet out of the child's hands, and assert their authority by force. Or they can't stand the screaming and give in, saying, "Okay, 5 more minutes," and handing the screen back. Both seem to work in the moment, but in the long run, both teach the child the same thing. The screen is either a prize that must be defended through a fight, or something you can win back if you cry hard enough. As this cycle repeats every evening, both parent and child grow weary. Maybe you experienced exactly this situation last night. If so, I want you to know this. It's not a failure of your parenting skills. Nordic families never get caught in this cycle, because their secret isn't winning the battle, but preventing it from starting in the first place. Now let's move on to the scientific part, because that's where the real difference lies. In a child's brain, especially between the ages of 2 and 6, the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for impulse control and making the decision to say, "Okay, I'm going to stop this now," is still under construction, much like an unfinished bridge. In adults, this region can say, "It's over now," in a matter of seconds. In a young child, this transition is naturally much slower and much more fragile. When watching a screen, the brain is in a state of high arousal from a child brain development perspective. Dopamine is flowing, and attention is completely locked onto the screen. And when suddenly told to turn it off while in this state, the brain perceives it as a threat. It feels as if someone is forcibly pulling it out of a safe place. A tantrum isn't bad behavior. It's a natural response from an overloaded nervous system, much like an alarm going off at a sudden noise, even if there's no real danger. And this reaction is independent of gender, personality, and spoiledness. Even children who seem calm exhibit the same biological response. They simply show it less outwardly. So if you're thinking, "My child is harder to handle than others," here's the good news. That's actually not the case. This is exactly where the concept of transition comes into play. The core idea of the gentle parenting approach is this: to offer the child's brain a gentle ramp rather than a sudden wall. A ramp creates far less resistance than a wall, because you're not falling, you're slowly descending. Now I'll explain how Nordic parents build this ramp in 4 simple steps. Now let me walk you through the 4-step method Nordic parents use, the very one that changes everything. Step 1, the countdown ritual. Nordic parents never turn off the screen without warning. 5 minutes before it's time, they say, "We're turning off the screen in 5 minutes." Then with 2 minutes left, they remind the child again. This sends a signal to the child's brain, "Get ready, a transition is coming," just like an airplane warning passengers before landing. In fact, it's exactly the same thing. Make sure you try this method tonight. Don't just say turn it off, give a 5-minute warning first, then remind them again 2 minutes before. Follow this sequence exactly, and as I always say, be patient. Step 2. Give control back. In the previous video, we talked about go selv, that is, the child managing things on their own. Instead of saying stop, the parent asks, "Do you want to watch the last episode, or are you finishing now?" When the decision is still in their hands, they take ownership instead of resisting. Even if they choose to watch the last episode, they now know they'll turn it off afterward. Step 3. Occupy their hands, then talk. As soon as the screen goes off, place something tangible in the child's hands. A spoon, a small toy, a slice of fruit. Empty hands feel like an empty mind, and that emptiness is usually filled with crying. This way, we redirect their attention immediately. Step 4. Name the emotion, don't forbid it. If the crying begins, don't say, "Stop crying," or "Enough already." Instead, say this, "I know you didn't want it to end, you're sad, and that's normal." When an emotion is named, the child's brain begins to process it instead of suppressing it. A forbidden emotion grows, an accepted emotion flows away, and this way, the child begins to calm down. None of these 4 steps is a miracle. It won't be perfect on the first try. There might still be crying the first few evenings. This is normal. The goal isn't to turn your child into someone who never cries, but to make these moments shorter and less exhausting. All of this is possible with patience. Slowly, step by step, you need to progress. So, which one will you try tonight? Write it in the comments and let's follow up together. Let's give a quick summary and wrap things up. A tantrum isn't a sign of a bad child, it's a natural biological response. The Nordic secret, counting down, giving back control, keeping their hands busy, and naming the emotion. None of it has to do with saying no. It's all about balance. But knowing the theory isn't enough. If you want something concrete to try at home tonight, put these 3 mini tips into practice. Tip number 1. Tonight, when it's time to turn off the screen, don't just say, "Turn it off," in a single sentence. Give a heads up 5 minutes beforehand, and remind them again 2 minutes before. Don't be discouraged if it doesn't work perfectly the first time. It's a habit, and it doesn't happen overnight. Second tip. The next time this comes up, instead of giving an order, offer a small choice. The last episode, or now? Keep the choice small but make it theirs. This single change alone can noticeably reduce resistance. Third tip. The moment the screen turns off, don't start talking right away. First, give them something tangible. A spoon, a small toy, a slice of fruit. Then, if necessary, name the feeling. I know you didn't want it to end. It's that simple. You can write these 3 suggestions on a piece of paper and hang them on the fridge. Or you can just watch this video again to remind yourself. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you try one of them today, tonight. And finding balance is much harder than imposing a rule, but it's much more lasting. Because a rule loses its power as the child grows, but a habit they've built themselves grows right along with them. Send this video to a friend, someone who's fighting the same battle with their child every night. Maybe that friend is you, and you just found this video at the exact moment you needed it. In the next video, we'll talk about another surprising fact. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. I'll be waiting for you in that video. See you soon!